Hey guys, good evening. Dave Santarelli here from Santarelli School of Options, optionstrading.college. Well, I'm happy to start off this Sunday's class with some great news. The markets are absolutely ripping higher. We got a nice hints of a trade deal with China. We come over across the news wire right here. We can see right here, President Trump. This was on Friday. Trump announced a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. We also have the trade deal with China coming in. And then the other great news on May 15th, Russia's Putin is meeting with Zelensky from Ukraine, and they're going to be talking about ending the war with Russia and Ukraine. So we got three great news fronts coming up. Possible trade deal with China, the war with Russia, Ukraine possibly ending, and then also here we have some great news about India and Pakistan things starting to settle down there as well. So we got the futures getting a nice spike here. We have We have the Dow up 432 points, S&P 500 up about 72, and the Nasdaq is ripping and climbing the most, up 333 points. Nice thing about this, guys, we called this. We called this on Friday. We called it all week last week. We were talking about SPY being in that breakout momentum cycle of our trade plan. The MACD crossed. We're trading above zero line on the histogram of the MACD. We had the 10 crossed above the 20-day simple moving average, and that 10-day simple moving average, that yellow line here, has been acting as support, getting that breakout, coming down to it, the wick breaking out. We were in consolidation. Now with the markets ripping, I think we're going to test that 575 on Monday. Right now we have the markets. Here's our SPY trade too that I wanted to talk about. On Friday, we heard across the newswire first about there being the meeting with China and the United States. And we felt that there was going to be positive news on that deal, on that meeting. And we jumped in a couple of SPY calls. We picked up four of those SPY contracts. They were down 20% as the close there. We were down 20%. But if we simulate those returns right now, we could see we got a 53.48% gain on that, a $788 profit on those four contracts. And I think it's going to climb much more there. So great trade we made on SPY on Friday, the end of the day. I'll be closing that out once we get up to that 573 to 575 range. It expires tomorrow. The other great thing, we ended up picking up some shares. We have our normal shares of JEPQ here, more on Robinhood there. We got our TSLL shares, our Core Weave shares, and then we also have our options trades here. We have the AMD call going out to August expiration, and then we also have the Meta call 600 strike going out to that July expo. Both of these trades are going to be in the green tomorrow. We're going to have massive profits on those as well, and we called this breakout perfectly. I mean, literally perfectly all week last week. This week's going to be a big week for us. It's going to be important to see what we do at that 575 on SPY. That's going to be some major resistance there. But we are in the bomb cycle on SPY. As you can see, we are in the bomb cycle on the Dow Jones Industrial Average Diamond ETF. We had the MACD cross, 1020 crossover, holding above that yellow 10-day simple moving average. Dow futures are ripping. That's going to be up testing towards that 420. And then of course we have Nasdaq and Q's getting a nice climb there. They're nearing that 500 level, so that's going to be a big day for tech, and it's going to be a big day for the markets here. I like Meta going forward. We have that Meta trade. Meta's going to have a nice breakout. Meta currently right now, futures on Meta are showing Meta up about $12.61, over 2.13%. So a nice climb on Meta. She's at 605 right now. Those Meta contracts that we have, that's going to be in the green. We're going to have some nice gains there. AMD is another one that's getting a solid breakout. And we're going to be going over the top stocks I want to be looking at for this week here. If you did not get into that SPY trade, AMD is already nearing 106, 105.85, up 2.93%. We have the AMD calls right here on Robinhood. This trade's going to be up big. It's down 16% as of the close on Friday, down $400. If we simulate the returns on that trade right now, they're already in the green. We already got a profit on that trade, which it was down on Friday. So that's going to be a nice setup there. We'll get about $500 on the open, with her just opening up about 2.96%. And then obviously that SPY trade, we're going to have some nice gains on that. So we're looking pretty good here going into Monday. And with that great news, we called it on Friday. We said we were in the bomb cycle, breakout momentum cycle of our trade plan. And like I said, we had some really great positive news going into the weekend. And I usually do not trade going into the weekend, but with Trump knowing the importance of that trade deal and knowing the importance of those 147% tariffs, that it wasn't sustainable, that our shelves were going to be empty, layoffs would be happening, so I knew that we were going to get some positivity over this weekend here with the trade deal. And then we had the trade deal, well, negotiations on the trade deal, I should say, the war ending in Russia, Ukraine possibly, and that meeting coming up this week. That's going to be a big meeting on the 15th. And then obviously with India and Pakistan. So everything's looking pretty good. Trump just announced that he's going to be making a major executive order on Monday morning at 9 a.m. He's going to be going over and he's going to be doing fair prices for all. Because, like I travel quite a bit in other countries. Every other country, drug prices for the same brands are a tenth of the price in the US. So he's tackling that. It's going to be the same price of our drugs as it is in Brazil or Morocco or wherever you go there. So I think that's really great news as well. But it's going to be important to see what these pharmaceutical and healthcare stocks do on that executive order at 9 a.m. So I'd stay away from those for right now until you see what happens with that executive order at 9 a.m. We went over our current trades. We have our core weave. We have our JEPQ. JEPQ's looking great. I hope you guys have been adding to that JEPQ. I've been talking about that nonstop, especially back when she was between 45 and 47. We picked up quite a bit of shares there. We got our price point way down, and she is ripping. And she's going to be nearing that 52.50 on Monday. Let's see what JEPQ is at right now. JEPQ 52.07 on JEPQ. Massive breakout on JEPQ. She's only up 0.85%, but she's going to be up much more come come Monday morning. All right, now I want to take a look at some of the best setups. If you missed the trades that we're in, if you're not in those, I want to go over a few here. All right. First off, let's go over the top stocks for a tariff rebound. So stocks and companies got destroyed with the tariffs that have large pullbacks, like for example, Target. Look at Target. Since the beginning of the year here, Target was at $140 to $145 a share. Tariffs kicked in, and you can see from February she just tanked, going from 145 bucks a share all the way down to about $88 there, $87. She's just getting that MACD cross. She just had that 1020 crossover. And the nice thing about Target, why I think that's going to be getting a large boost here over the next few days, is take a look at this. Target at 96.40, she pays a massive dividend, and that dividend's coming up this week. Ex-dividend is May 14th. I think this is a stock that we have to target, no pun intended. We have to target, and we have to look for that larger breakup because that dividend is coming. People are going to be investing now that we have the signs of a trade deal with China. It pays a 4.7% annual dividend. You're getting almost 5% right off the bat there just in dividends alone. And then, like I said, with that solid pullback she had, that's some nice share appreciation, at least 20% I'm expecting by the end of the year. So 20% share appreciation on the low end for Target. And then you're also collecting that 5% dividend. That's about a 25% return that we could be looking at and realize actually closer to 30%. She's at 96.40 right now. So from 100 to about 120 is about a 20% gain plus the 5% from the dividend. So 96.40 to 120. If we do the math there, 120, divide that by 96.4. That's a 24.48% upside plus the 4.8% dividend. You're looking at, closer to over a 30% return there from those current prices. So target is number one. I'd be targeting at least the August or September monthly expiration. The further out you go, the better. I think this one here, if you target like that November expiration, you could be looking for a solid setup there. So target, I'd be looking at something like the August minimum expiration, 96 days till expo. You take a look at that 100 strike call. It's only going for about $7 there. So at 114, you have 100% gain. I think she's easily going to get back up there. You could also do something much safer and do something called like a in the money or an at the money vertical call spread. So if we take a look at the 95 strike, you could be targeting something like the 99 100 vertical call spread for that August expiration. Take a look what this is going to give you. All right, they're going by $5. Let's see, we have that at, yeah, they're $5 spreads there. So 95 100 going for 242. Above $100 a share, this is worth $5. 5 divide that by 2.42. That's 107% gain just about. I love this setup. They're going to be piling in this week going into that ex dividend. I like target. Now's the time to pick up something like a vertical spread. Even if you wanted to do a shorter term expo, maybe like that June monthly, I think it'd be pretty safe to do the June monthly. That 95 100's going for about $2.30 a contract. You could even do like the 90.95, which is fully in the money. This one's 315 to be worth $5. So it's fully in the money. The stock could drop by a few bucks and you're still going to have that max gain. So if we look at it, 315 max can be worth is 5. 5 divide that by 3.15. That's a max net return of 58.73% on that with a safe in the money vertical spread if you wanted to do a 90.95 vertical spread on target going out to that June monthly expo. Perfect setup right there. Or you could just pick up the regular calls on target. You know, the one thing you got to watch, you got to wait until after that ex-dividend date to sell the call right here. So I would not do a vertical spread until after that ex-dividend date. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay that dividend. So what I would do, the strategy, I would buy that June 90 strike call first, let it climb a bit, and then after the ex-dividend date, sell that 95 strike, turn that into a vertical spread. You might have a no risk vertical spread on that, meaning like if you paid 985 for the 90 strike and then target climbs a bit from now until the ex-dividend date, and then that 95 strike is worth about 985. Right now it's worth 690. But if that's worth about 985 after a few days, then that's a no risk vertical spread that you have on. So I'm probably going to do something like that. I'm going to pick up a target. I'll pick up a regular call on target for the June monthly expo. And then after the ex dividend, I'm going to sell to open that next strike higher, probably that 95 strike or the 100 strike. I'm probably going to do the 95 100 vertical spread on target, maybe even the 100 105 vertical spread, depending on where we open at in the morning. But I'm definitely going to buy the call for the June or further out expo, and then look to turn that into a vertical spread by the end of the week there. So target is a solid setup. I want you guys to keep your eyes on. Very good setup there, especially after that large pullback she had. This one is a tariff trade. So with tariffs starting to come to an end there, we get a trade deal with China. Target's going to rip. So keep an eye on target. All right. Next one that they're saying is going to be a big buy here is NVIDIA. NVIDIA, I'm expecting to get back up towards that 130 to 140 by the end of the summertime. So I'd be looking at that 120 strike call on NVIDIA, or you could even do something like the 115, 120 vertical call spread and look for that August expiration on NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a solid one here. Just got the MACD cross, 1020 crossover after being in that BDM cycle for a few months. Solid setup there on NVIDIA. Now, the next big one that I want to talk about for the tariffs is Amazon. Amazon is just starting that breakout momentum cycle. It had the MACD cross, started trading above zero line on the histogram of the MACD for the last 2 weeks here. And we just got our first candle above that 10, 20, and 50-day simple moving average. And we're getting a solid breakout right now on Amazon. So I love this setup on Amazon. I think she's going to be back up towards that 220 by the end of summer. I'd be looking at either A, shares of Amazon, or some regular long out calls going out to at least that September, October, November expiration. I mean, this is going to be money in the bank here. So I'd be targeting that further out expo on Amazon, making that a little bit larger of a trade and looking for a continuation of that breakout momentum cycle. Solid setup on Amazon. We could be picking up the 195 strike calls for the August, September, October monthly expo. And then we could also be looking to turn this into a vertical call spread going forward there. Great setup on Amazon. Keep an eye on that one. All right. Another one that I like, CCL. Carnival Cruise Line just coming off the bottom there. I mean, obviously this is a rebound trade with tensions easing up with all of our allies and everything, more people going on cruises, especially with it being a cheaper option and with the economy, kind of tough the way it was. I love CCL here. I mean, even if you pick up those shares, target $30 a share, that's a solid 50% return there just on shares. I like this one. You could be looking at the 20 strike, 21 strike call going out to that September expiration. Solid setup on CCL. We've been talking about Delta. We made a big trade on Delta, closed that out for some massive profit. She's continuing to run. I could see Delta getting up to 55 to $60 a share. She had a big pullback there, and she's definitely getting that climb, and you can see the volume starting to come in there. Definitely some institutional investors coming into Delta. Another one I like that's tariff related is Elf Beauty Supplies. Another solid stock here. It had a big pullback from $225 a share from July to 2025. We started off the year about 135. She came all the way down to $49. She's just starting that breakout momentum cycle again. Now, this is one that I'd be looking for that November, December expiration. Solid money. You could be even looking towards that $100 a share for a recovery there going into the end of the year here. I think that's a solid setup on ELF. Tariffs reduced is going to help ELF tremendously. So I even like picking up shares here for the long term and targeting at least that $100 a share. At 66.84, she gets up to $100 a share. 100 divide that by 66.84. That is a return of almost 50%, 49.61% with shares getting up to $100 a share. Great setup there on Elf. Another tariff related trade I like is RH, higher end luxury furniture. Had a large pullback from $450 a share almost in February, all the way down to 120. She's starting that breakout, quick recovery here. I think she's going to get right back up towards that $250 a share. And at 194.28 right now, she gets up to 250. Divide that by 194.28. That is a return of 28.68% with it just getting up to $250 a share. That's with just shares, a 29% return. I think with options, if we go out again to that November expiration, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more, but you're going to maximize profits and you're going to have a much solid return there as she continues that breakout with any type of volatility that we see. If we get a little bit of a pullback here or there, that October, November, December expiration is really going to help you there. Even if you wanted to pick up an at the money, in the money vertical call spread on RH, I think that's a solid setup. If you wanted to pick up the 195, 200 vertical call spread for the June, July, August, September expiration, that's a solid setup there. 195, 200 vertical spread. Even if you wanted to go a little bit higher, maybe do that 210, 215 or the 215, 220 vertical spread for that July, August expiration. I think you'll be fine with that on RH. Now, here's another one. Obviously truck drivers have been laid off because all the shipments from China dropped about 60% into our ports, right? So JB Hunt, JBHT, look at the pullback she's had since the tariffs were announced. We had a breakout starting in May. We got a quick recovery there from 150 a share all the way up to $200 a share. Trump won, tariffs were announced, and she just pulled back here sharply down to 135.53. I think this is another easy one up to that 160 a share. So we could either get some calls going out to that August, September, October expiration. I like it going out a little bit further because obviously they're going to be stocking up for the holidays. And I'd like to, after coming off the lows here, I think we have a good opportunity to pick up that November, December monthly expo for JB Hunt and target that 160. So if you picked up shares 160, divide that by 135.53. That is an 18.06% return in shares from the current price up to that 160. With options, we could be picking up that 135, even the 140 strike call for the September, October, November, December expiration, and easily target a minimum of that 160, probably up closer towards that 180. So great rebound trade available here with tariffs and the trade war that we were seeing. This one's going to recover pretty quick here. So keep an eye on JB Hunt. Solid setup here for an out of the money vertical spread or some calls going out to that October, November, December expiration. Now, we picked up a trade on Intel on Friday. We saw some volume coming in into Intel, and she was closing at highs of the day. We picked up a trade on Intel. We were up quite a bit on that Intel trade, quite a bit on Intel. So here's the Intel trade we have. We're up 8.7%. It's a $2,500 trade. Well, it was 2,300. We have $200 appreciation there. But we're up 8.7% as of the close on Friday. She's ripping 2.24%, nearing $22. I think this is easily getting to at least $23 this week. So if we simulate returns on this, we have a 50% return on this already and a gain of $1,100 on this trade we just picked up on Friday. So there's another $1,000 that's going to be added right there alone on that AMD trade that we have. And that was a smaller trade, a 50% gain. That SPY trade that we have, she's at what, 572 right now. If we simulate this trade, we were down 20%. We were down 300. We simulate it. We're now up $1,028. So a $1,300, $1,400 rebound right now on SPY. And that's a 72% gain on that trade. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So we're going to see some really nice profits in the morning from this trade deal that we have. Well, I keep saying trade deal, but trade negotiations, a possible trade deal, the war with Russia, Ukraine possibly ending, and then Pakistan and India, things cooling down there. So I like Intel. I think that's easily going to get up to $23 a share by this Friday's expo that we have. So she gets up to 23. We're looking at like a 300% return on that trade. We picked up those 2150 contracts for like 40 some cents. So obviously she gets up to 23. They're going to be worth at least $1.50. $1.50, divide that by 0.43, that is a 248.84% return right there. So great job on the Intel trade. AMD is another one I like. This is a tech trade. I think this is absolutely going to rip. I think we're going to see AMD much higher up towards that 125. We've been picking up the AMDY, which is a underlying leveraged ETF off of AMD. Pays a large monthly dividend. If we take a look at AMDY now, you can see AMDY is getting a solid breakout right here. We're getting a solid breakout. And let's take a look here. AMDY. AMDY, look at that after hours there. What a breakout. AMDY currently at 748 a share. It's up 3.17%. Massive breakout there. Massive breakout. So we're continuing to see a climb there. Let's get down to the next one there. So if we continue down, we're continuing to see a nice breakout. AMD, AMDY. Beautiful breakout right there on that AMD. Another one that I want to do is one sec here. Oracle, Synchrony Financial, Meta, Nike is going to be another great one. Okay, sorry about that. I sent the package to my daughter for school tomorrow, and the Uber driver just dropped it off. But here's another nice rebound play. Nike. Look at that sharp pullback after the tariffs impacted Nike tremendously, going from about $83 a share all the way down to about 52. She's recovering. MACD cross traded above zero line on the scram of the MACD. This is definitely a trade war rebound trade right here. I like Nike. You could even pick up a at the money, in the money, slight out of the money vertical spread on Nike. This is definitely a trade I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a Nike trade tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a Target trade. I'm going to be doing an Amazon trade. And I'm probably, well, we already have our Meta trade. I'm probably going to be doing the JB Hunt trade, JBHT. So I have about four trades that I'm definitely making tomorrow. Target, JB Hunt, Nike, Amazon, and then I want to do an energy or not an energy, a tech trade as well. Another one that I'm reading before I came on the live, they're saying BABA is going to be one of the more explosive Chinese stocks. This one's been having incredible earnings now with the possible trade deal with the United States. Alibaba, which is the Amazon of China, I think we're going to see a large breakout on on BABA here and continue to break out up towards that 145 to 150. I think picking up 125 or even a 130 strike call on BABA for that October, November, December expiration to be fine, or even doing an at the money or an in the money vertical spread for the June, July, or August expiration on BABA. So that's what I'd be looking at. If you're looking at a vertical spread on any of these, I'd be doing like that June, July, August expo. If you're looking at some regular calls to maximize profits, I'd definitely be going out to the October, November, December expiration. So another one I wanted to talk about here that was kind of being restricted there with the huge import prices there and building supplies from Canada increasing with the tariffs. Builder, BLDR, this is American Builders. This one should get a solid breakout here. She was just at $200 a share. She's down to 115 right now. I think this is going to have a heavy rebound right here, and I definitely want to keep an eye on BLDR. But if you get something like this, guys, think about leaps, 8 months out plus till expiration. Even if you wanted to get next year's expiration on Builder next summer, this is going to give explosive returns. This is one too that I'd also be looking at some shares, picking up some shares. If we take a look here, I believe, let me see here. No, Builder does not have. BLD is the one that has a dividend, I believe. BLD, solid breakout here coming in. She's just starting that MACD. And a solid breakout there. So I think BLD could get a solid breakout up towards that 350 to $400. She's at 295. If we take a look at BLD, I thought BLD, no, it does not pay a dividend. No, it does not pay a dividend. I thought that did. But regardless, this is a nice trade to get into. BLDR, BLD. I also like Reddit here, RDDT. Reddit looks like a solid setup, and that could be a quick freaking 40%, 50% gain here. That's probably going to be pretty explosive. So keep an eye on that one. I also, like I said, I like Oracle. Oracle looks like a solid setup. Look, I mean, look at that strong BDM it just had from $200 a share all the way down to 120. It just started that MACD cross right here on April 23rd. Started trading above zero line on the histogram. The moving average convergence divergence had a strong breakout. 1020 crossover. Use that 10-day simple moving average as support here. We had that breakout, consolidation out of the 10, breakout, new highs, consolidation. Now we're getting that next breakout here. We should easily see that 160 to 170 and possibly even that 180 going out a little bit further, maybe to the July or August expo. I think we could see 180 on Oracle. Solid setup on Oracle. SYF, if you want to look at some of the financials, I like SYF. Synchrony Financial. I also like Bank of America. Synchrony, solid setup here. Another one that's up big for us. We picked up a firm shares on Friday, and a firm shares are getting a solid breakout. Solid breakout. So we take a look at a firm, and she is up to 47.63, up 2.63%, up $1.22. and that one's going to continue to break out here. She had a large drop from $56 a share all the way down to 45 on Friday, and she is going to get a nice rebound there. I picked up some shares of that. I'm holding on to the shares. I'll look to sell some covered calls against the shares, bring in that rent check each month there, which is just your covered call premium that you're collecting, giving someone the right to your shares at a higher price. I'll probably look to sell that 55 strike going out to the July expiration, bring in a few $1,000s from selling to open those covered calls right there. So Synchrony looks great. Affirm looks great. Bank of America is looking great if you like the financials. Solid breakout there. But like I said, the one that I like the most, AI is another good one too. I have written down here. I think this one's going to have an explosive rebound. So keep an eye on AI. Watch for that volume coming in. You start getting those 3 to 5% gains. AI is going to take off. You start seeing that 5% returns coming in on a day. She's going to break out. She could easily get back up towards that $30 a share. So look for that for a strong breakout. And like I said, our JEPQ has just been on fire. We've been talking about JEPQ, pays a large monthly dividend, solid ETF by JP Morgan Chase, and actively managed by some of the world's best portfolio managers, pays a large monthly dividend. And this is covered by 108 of America's best stocks, and they sell covered calls against them to bring in that premium to pay that large monthly dividend. So I love that JEPQ. Continue to buy that. Look for that breakout. Solid setup there. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's profits. It's going to be a massive day of profits tomorrow. I would not immediately buy, um, SPY calls going forward. I'd wait. If you're not in the SPY calls that we got on Friday, I'd wait and see if the markets pull back. If we just start seeing some volume stepping in early, first 15 minutes of the day, we won't even look at that 15-minute opening range day trade strategy. We'll look to buy some calls going out a little bit further on SPY, look for that further breakout. But there are some other setups that I like better than picking up some SPY calls. I got those SPY calls on Friday because I was expecting there to be some good news with the China U.S. trade deal negotiations. And then obviously we got the few extra good news there with Russia, Ukraine, and then Pakistan and India. So I love the announcements that came out over the weekend. Very positive, very great for all of our trades. Every single one of our trades are going to be in the green. We're going to have some very nice profits on the morning there. And let's continue to capitalize going throughout the week here. Just don't give back those profits and don't chase. Get those longer term expirations. Those shorter term expos could absolutely destroy you. Give yourself enough time on those trades. Look for those larger breakouts, and your account is going to be it's definitely going to benefit the most there with those further out expos. I mean, you could do short-term expos, but there's also quite a bit of risk there with the large breakout we just had. So be cautious. Look for those further out expos to reduce risk and maximize profits going forward here. So great setup there. Last one I want to take a look at is Tesla. Tesla shares are absolutely ripping, and with there being a trade deal on the way, and with us making trade deals with all of our allies, this is going to be one that's going to continue to rip. And as you can see, Tesla right now up 4.5%, up $13.54 at 311.80 after hours. And that's the other beauty there too. We have our TSLL shares. So whatever Tesla does, this is going to do 2 times the amount. It's a 2 times bull ETF on Tesla. So if Tesla's up 4.5%, this is going to be up 9% tomorrow. So we're going to have almost a 10% gain on that, which is going to be about another $600 profit there on TSLL shares. We rode that pony. Members made some incredible AI images of Pony AI there. We absolutely nailed that. Thousands of shares of Pony. She continued to rip. Let's see what Pony AI is doing. After hours. That's not showing. That's still showing as of Friday after hours. So Pony was great. We made some great profits on Pony AI, and we're looking pretty damn good here going forward. So I'm loving it, guys. I mean, I think we're going to have a really big week this week. We're going to have some solid profits on the morning with the trades that we picked up on Friday. We've been very clear. I've been steering you guys into profits all along here. We've been calling the breakout momentum cycle. We've been talking about the newswire there and everything that was coming up this weekend and how we thought that was going to really propel the markets higher on Monday. And now we're seeing the fruits of that, of the labor right there that we put in on Friday. Listening to those listening to those announcements that we heard on Friday about the upcoming trade negotiations with China and with the U.S. I'm trying to look here for something, but yeah, I mean, we called that perfectly on Friday. We picked up those spy calls knowing that we were going to see possibly some good news with China and the U.S. on those trade negotiations. And we loved the setups we were seeing in the market. So we bought the spy calls for the Monday's Expo. Those are going to be up quite a bit. We'll look to lock those in the morning. And we're going to continue to take advantage of the markets breaking out here. So great job on Friday, guys. Great profits. We're going to be seeing on Monday morning here. So make sure you guys join us on the live stream and let's have one hell of a day. It's going to be a good one. And I'm really looking forward to that large breakout in the markets and locking in some profits tomorrow. So great job trading and hope everyone has a great day. It's going to be a great start to the week. This is the news we were looking for, and really happy that I guided us along the way here. And we're going to be capitalizing tremendously, especially with those short-term spy calls that we picked up. And then obviously every single other trade that we have is going to be in the green, and we're going to have some nice profits on that with the news that we have over the weekend. So really looking forward to Monday morning here, guys. Let's get on live nice and early tomorrow. Let's look at about 9:15 a.m. We'll go over the top market movers. We'll find some setups that we want to focus in on for the day, and let's capitalize and make it a great week. You know, SPY, like I said, my targets on SPY are going to be about that 575. I think we're going to get up to that on Monday, tomorrow. And then depending on what we do at that 575, which is going to be major resistance here from going back to end of March, and then how it was support going back here to January 13th. You know, we kept seeing that 575 hold as support, got that climb, then we finally broke through it, and then we failed to break above it. So old support now became resistance. And we're going to test that resistance again on Monday. So let's see if we can break through that 575. If we do, I think we're going to see that 600 by the end of July or August here on SPY and coming in at new highs, especially if we get that trade deal confirmed with China and things are looking good. So great setup, guys. Great job navigating the markets over the past 2 weeks here, 3 weeks. We capitalized on that pullback. We rode that momentum higher, and on Friday we made those trades that we're going to be capitalizing on tomorrow. So great job. Let's continue to move forward here and target these great setups. Like I said, the ones I'm going to be targeting are going to be Target, Nike, Amazon, JB Hunt, and then I'm going to look for a tech trade, either NVIDIA, maybe MRVL, Marvell. That was another solid setup right there. And then also another one that I love that we made a lot of money on Friday was the Trade Desk, TTD. I think this is going back up towards $90 to $110 a share here. It just started that breakout momentum cycle after that large pullback. This is also something known as a hook pattern. So we had that large drop, catalyst driven, had that sharp drop there. There's your shaft. Here's your hook. And now we're going to be getting back up to that resistance, which is going to be at least that $90 a share up towards that 110. So I think it's a solid setup on the trade desk. And like I said, I like Meta, I like AMD, and I love Intel. That Intel trade we have is going to be up quite a bit. So Intel should get that pop right back up towards that, right back up towards that $25 to $26 a share by the end of the summer. So great setup there, guys. Let's capitalize on it on Monday, and really looking forward to the week. Great job calling it on Friday, and looking forward to seeing everyone have those profits on Monday morning there. Great job, team. Looking forward to the rest of the week, and I'll see you guys nice and early on Monday morning. Take care. God bless, and see you then.